Welcome to this week's episodes of Gods and Monsters by E.E. King, read by me, E.E. King. Each week, MetaStellar releases a new episode of Gods and Monsters in print and on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. And now, episode 12. Episode 13. Consequences. Last week, Gabriel began to sell his necklaces in the Fates occult shop, which only appears at night. Our hero River meets a beautiful red-haired waitress named Pamela. Chapter 38, River, San Francisco, 1983, The Food of Love. The next morning at 2 a.m., River walks down Market Street, shoulders hunched against the ubiquitous fog. He's left Huck home with some walnuts to occupy him. He carries with him a sack of chocolate chip cookies, a banana nut muffin, and 4 chewy brownies. These cookies have caused 12 marriages and stuffed the slumber of children with dreams so real they forever wonder if they had been true. These muffins have filled the residents of an entire Vietnamese village, now residing in apartments number 320 and 340 on Turk Street, with buttery forgiveness. Their ripe flavor caused the villagers to forget the disputed ownership of 4 rice paddies that has lasted more than a quarter century. They united in a creamy outpouring of Unity bananas and enough calories to maintain the village through a hard winter. The brownies were mixed, as always, with perfect proportions of chocolate and egg, half a teaspoon of vanilla, and hope thrown in for good measure. Just the smell can make children follow River down the street, although now, at 2 a.m., no children are about. The police still on duty are sleeping in their cars or crouching over coffee in all-night dives. Even the homeless are asleep, huddled in doorways, under blankets of cardboard and crumpled newspaper. But as River walks past, the scent of sweets weaves into their dreams and makes them smile. Some dream of a time they'd been full of hope. Others live for a while inside illusions as knights on horseback or spouting vast, shimmering wings to rise above the city and soar. River steps inside of Bert's, pushing the door ajar with his right shoulder. He searches the almost empty coffee shop. There sits the old man from the night before, huddled over a coffee, a 6-pack wine carrier at his feet. In a distant corner, 4 kids are laughing and talking over burgers and fries. High school kids, River thinks. Maybe college. Once you're around 30, everyone starts to look young. 2 police sit in a far booth. One a few years older than River, the other a few years younger. 2 donuts, bright with pink icing and dotted with what looks like confetti, lies between them. They each have a coffee. River doesn't know if they are the same 2 that had been sitting there the night before. Maybe they've never left. Pamela's not there. His blood sugar drops in disappointment. Suddenly, he is very, very tired. The old man surveys him, his eyes sharp with emptiness. River sighs. "You hungry?" River asks. The old man doesn't answer. He just eyes River's plate with bright eyes that remind him of Huck. River rocks over and sits next to the old man. He lays the plate heavily on the table. "Here," he says, "you might as well eat them. I brought them for someone who doesn't seem to be here." River peels off the saran wrap. "I'd recommend the brownies for you, although the cookies have been known to provide powerful dreams." The old man reaches out for a brownie. He bites into one, mushing it surprisingly neatly between toothless gums. He swallows. His face splits into a wide brown grin. "Mighty fine," he says. "Makes me remember But you seem to know all that. Who'd you bring these for? Uh, well, there was a waitress here last night. I made a bit of a mess. Pam? The old man asks. Yes, says River. Do you know her? He realizes how desperate he must be to hope from an introduction from this source. But what's with the food, buddy? River looks up into the pink, meaty face of the older policeman. The other is snoozing in the booth. I'm a baker, Rivers says. I spilled some soup here last night and brought these by, sort of bringing them by for an apology. An apology to this guy? Asks the cop. River looks at his badge. Jackson, it reads. Would you like to try a brownie or a muffin, officer? River smiles in what he hopes is a disarming fashion. Officer Jackson squints at him. He takes the muffin, biting into the moist stone. A dreamy look spreads across his face. Thanks, he says, gazing at River. Like a sleepwalker, he stumbles back to his booth, muffin in hand. He pulls out a notepad and begins writing a letter to his younger brother, Jim, who he has not spoken to in over 19 years. The old man chuckles softly. Well, you are a dark horse, aren't you? Don't know your recipe, young man, but I'd like to. Believe me, I'd like to. I believe this young fellow has brought you a present, Pam. River turns to see Pamela smiling at him. Blood rushes to his face. I I brought you these, sort of an apology for last night. That is so sweet of you. Pam smiles her closed mouth grin. She and the old man look at each other across River's head. Please, try one, River says. I think you'll enjoy the cookies. Pamela turns away, grabbing a coffee pot and filling the old man's cup. Do you two know each other? She asks. River shook his head. I'm River. River? Thanatos. Thanatos? River, Pam says. Thanatos? That's an unusual name. Thanatos nods. It's Greek. My mother had a thing for Greek stuff. Big on mythology, she was. I'm just lucky she didn't name me Chaos. He chuckles, bends over, and lifts the six-pack onto the counter. It's full of small glass bottles, each filled with rich red liquid. Pam reaches for a bottle greedily. Pomegranate juice. Thanatos delivers it daily. She uncaps the bottle and swigs thirstily. Uh, don't you want a cookie? River asks. He feels like an idiot. No, Pam dimples. They smell marvelous, but I'm on a diet. River raises one eyebrow. You don't need to lose weight, you know. Pamela smiles. Oh, I know that. I'm not trying to lose weight. It's to detox. Oh. River wishes he didn't feel so disappointed. Yep, our Pam's dedicated, a real healthy gal. Thanatos laughs. Fact, I wouldn't be surprised if she lived forever at this rate. He winked at her. But can't sit here all morning, time's a wasting. Gotta deliver more of these. A six-pack oughta keep you till tomorrow, right, Pam? She nods. Thanatos reaches down, hoisting two more six-packs. River hadn't noticed from beneath the table. Slowly, he unfurls his body from the counter. He's taller than River supposed, at least 6'5", all bone and sinew. He inclines his head. Nice to meet you, he says to River. See you tomorrow, Pam. Thanatos pushes the door open with his shoulder and shuffles into the night. When do you get off, Pamela? River asks. 4:30 a.m. Then I just go home and sleep like the dead. Don't you have a day off? Well, sometimes I take Saturday, sometimes Wednesday. They let me be pretty flexible here. What do you do on your day off? Pamela laughs. Mostly I sleep. It's kind of impossible to shift your sleeping patterns in just a day or two. I don't mind. I've sort of gotten used to the night. It's more forgiving. River's eyes narrow, considering. I guess it depends on what you need to forgive. Pam smiles a little bit sadly. Less all the time, I hope. River nods. Well, he says, I'm a baker. I work just round the corner more or less in Chinatown, just off Columbus. If you ever decide to go off your diet and want a pastry, drop by. In fact, if I know you're coming, I'll bake organic brand wheat muffins with pomegranate. Pamela laughs. I'll remember. Chapter 39, Gabrielle, San Francisco, 1983. Consequences. Gabriel is making his second delivery. He is early and walks right by the mystic eye without seeing it. Odd. He'd imagined that the store would be more, not less evident in daylight. He retraces his steps a dozen times, pacing the block, repeating his route, but try as he might, he can't find the arcane doorway of the mystic eye. Gabriel wanders by the next day at noon, once again missing it. He begins frequently the neighborhood, searching for the shop that only appears at night. Passerbys and store owners watch Gabriel, nonchalant as a cat, prowling the neighborhood. He makes them uneasy. He is an absence, a rip in the sky, a man-shaped dark hole in the afternoon. Diners get food poisoning, even at the finest of restaurants. Shoppers discover that every pair of jeans they try is too tight. Their hips have expanded, their stomachs have swollen like beach balls. In the sublime stylist, colorists add too much ammonia. Small chunks of clients' hair fall out, littering the checkered linoleum like miniature pelts. Round, bald spots dot customers' scalps like small bomb craters. Gym rats, pumping iron, lose their grip. 200-pound weights fall on chests and faces like fallen dreams. The first ambulance en route to Gay's gym springs leaks in all 4 brand new tires. The second ambulance's engines overheats, even though the day is cool and cloudy, even though the driver has just filled the radiator with coolant. When the third ambulance finally reaches the doctor's office, crushed athletes in tow, the doors are shut tight. The doctors are at home in bed suffering from food poisoning. Rumors spread like influenza. Evangelists bellow from their pulpits that the Castro is cursed. The area's bad luck is a crystal clear sign of the Lord's disfavor. God hates gays. They ignore the fact that the entire 2-mile route down Leavenworth and Market, where Gabriel roams, suffers similar misfortunes. All along those streets, houseplants freeze, even on the warmest days. Eucalyptus trees that have stood tall and strong since 1923 develop heart rot. Their branches crash onto the pavement, shattering into pointed stakes that burrow into the flesh of anyone who tries to remove them. Mighty oaks that withstood the great quake of 1906 with nary a crack develop deep fissures in every limb. Thirsty ficus trees send wandering roots into water mains, breaking pipes. Geysers shoot up from the earth, drenching the hard pavement while the city suffers drought. The once shiny leaves of the ficus become infected with cankers and blight. They fall onto Leavenworth, spotting the sidewalk with a smutty black fungus that clings to shoes and invades nasal passages. Children kept home from school develop asthma. Inhalers vanish from pharmacies more quickly than mist dissolving over the bay. Frantic mothers despair and turn to drink. Ministers, however, still focus on the Castro. Preachers go so incensed that the many have a apocalyptic fits, tumbling from stages and podiums like overturned idols. Peter Popoff, a famous born-again minister, explodes on camera, plastering cameraman and assistant minister in fat flesh and bodily fluids. The assistant minister and cameraman immediately convert to Islamism and depart for Iran. Despite chanting, "There is no God but Allah, Muhammad is the messenger of Allah," in Farsi 110 times in rapid succession, they are immediately beheaded. This is due to their poor pronunciation rather than their religion or nationality. The executions are performed by grammar extremists at Tehran University. The decapitations result in a surge of studiousness and a boost in test scores from all the students of language and literature. Every cloud has a silver lining. After 3 heart attacks, 5 strokes, 7 apocalyptic fits, the explosive televised departure of Popov, and the dual decapitation, the diminished evangelist population of San Francisco grows hushed. Gabriel continues searching for the mystic eye, but unless it is his appointed day and anointed hour, he never finds it. Thank you for joining us. Next week, join us when the bodies of 3 men discovered this morning in San Francisco's Castro district were so gruesome that police officers sent to the scene are being offered counseling. It appears to be some sort of ritualistic murder. We advise caution when leaving clubs and restaurants late at night, particularly in the Castro district. Thank you for joining. Bye for now.